Today we discuss about session concept in Laravel. Since HTTP driven applications are stateless, sessions provide a way to store information about the user across multiple requests. That user information is typically placed in a persistent store or backend that can be accessed from subsequent requests. And in this HTTP session concept, we are having topics like introduction, interacting with the session, session blocking, adding custom session drivers. These are the main topics. And apart from this, we are having subtopics like configuration, driver prerequisites, driver prerequisites, retrieving data, storing data, flash data, deleting data, regenerating the session ID, implementing the driver, registering the driver. These are all the uh, main topics and subtopics that are available in HTTP session concept. Let's see one by one. Configuration. So we have already seen the introduction part. Since HTTP driven applications are stateless, sessions provide a way to store information about the user across multiple requests or pages. So configuration. Our application session configuration file is stored at config slash session.php file. The session driver configuration option defines where session data will be stored for each request. Laravel includes a variety of drivers like file, cookie, database, memcached or Redis, DynamoDB, array. So like this, in different places, session can be stored in our application. And let's see the, the driver prerequisites. When using database, the database session driver, we have to ensure that we have a database table to contain the session data. So typically this is included in Laravel's default 0001 underscore 01 underscore 01 underscore 00000 underscore create underscore users underscore table dot php database migration. So this is the database migration table. 0001 underscore 01 underscore 01 underscore 00000 underscore create underscore users underscore table dot php. In this database migration file, the session data will be stored. So we can create a session table by making use of artisan command uh, by using following command: php artisan make colon session hyphen table. And once we run this command, after that we have to run the php artisan migrate command. So before using Redis sessions with Laravel, we will need to either install the PHP Redis PHP extension via PECL pickle or install the predis by predis package via Composer. So the session underscore connection environment variable or the connection option in the session.php configuration file may be used to specify which Redis connection is used for session storage. Now we see interacting with the session. In that we have a topic like retrieving data. So we have get method in order to retrieve the session data. the syntax will be like this: dollar value equal to dollar request session get method. So within that we will be mentioning the key. And next we will be using the global session helper. So instead of using session method, we will be using global session method. So the syntax will be like this: dollar value equal to session of key. So like this, within the session method, instead of using dollar request object, so directly we will be using session helper. Session of, within that method we will be mentioning that key name, session key name. And we are also using, we can also use default as a second parameter. So when no value is present, so we will be using the default value. Retrieving all session data, so we will be using all method on the request object. Syntax will be like this: dollar data equal to dollar request session all method. Now we see retrieving a portion of the session data. Dollar data equal to dollar request session only of username comma email. And also we can use syntax like one more method called except to retrieve a portion of the session data. Dollar data equal to dollar request session except username comma email. Determining if an item exists in the session. So we will be using has method. So it returns true if the item is present, and if not, it will return null. Dollar request session has of users. To determine if an item is present in the session, even if its value is null, we may use the exists method. To determine if an item is not present in the session, we may use the missing method. So the missing method returns true if the item is not present. Like this, we will be using has method, exists method, missing method in different scenarios. Storing data. To store data in the session, we will typically use the request instances put method or the global session helper. So dollar request syntax will be like this: dollar request session put of, within the put method we will be mentioning the key value pair. Also we can use directly session helper method. So session within that method will be passing or mentioning the key value pair, key arrow mark value. So like this we will be storing the data either by using put method or global session helper method. Pushing to array session values. So dollar request session push method we can use user.teams comma developers. So the push method may be used to push a new value onto a session value that is an array. So like this we'll be using the push method in order to push into array session values. Retrieving and deleting an item. So the pull method will retrieve and delete an item from the session in a single statement. Syntax will be dollar value equal to dollar request session pull. Within that pull method we will be mentioning the key, and as a second parameter we can also mention default. Incrementing and decrementing session values. So we will be using increment method, and also we can use decrement method. So syntax will be like this: dollar request session increment of count, dollar request session increment count comma dollar increment by equal to 2, dollar request session decrement on count, or dollar request session decrement of count comma decrement by equal to 2. So like this we will be using the increment method and decrement method. flash data. So sometimes we may wish to store items in the session for the next request. So we may do so using the flash method. Data stored in the session using this method will be available immediately and during the subsequent HTTP request. So after the subsequent HTTP request, the flash data will be deleted. Flash data is primarily useful for the short-lived status messages. The syntax will be like this: dollar request session flash status comma task was successful. So if we need to persist our flash data for several requests, we may use the reflash method, which will keep all of the flash data for an additional request. So if we want to only need to keep specific flash data, so we may use the keep method. Syntax will be like this: dollar request session reflash. This is for reflash method, and for the keep method, dollar request session keep of username comma email. To persist our flash data only for the current request, so we may use the now method. Syntax will be dollar request session now within the now method status comma task was successfully. Like this, we will be using the now method. Deleting data. The forget method will remove a piece of data from the session. So if you would like to remove all data from the session, we may use the flush method. Syntax will be like this for the forget method. Dollar request session forget, within that method we will be mentioning the name. Dollar request session forget name comma status. So like this we will be mentioning the multiple keys. And we will be mentioning, we will be using the flush method with syntax like this: dollar request session flush. So if we use flush, so all session data will be removed. Regenerating the session ID. So we will be using regenerate method. If you want to regenerate the session ID and remove all data from the session in a single statement, we may use the invalidate method. Session blocking. So to utilize session blocking, our application must be using a cache driver that supports atomic locks. So currently those cache drivers include the memcached, DynamoDB, Redis, database, file, and array drivers. So in addition, we may not use the cookie session driver. So by default, Laravel allows requests using the same session to execute concurrently. So for this, we will be using the block method, and the syntax will be like this: route double colon port of order function comma within that function we can write business logic, and for that we will be adding the block method. Within the block method we will be mentioning the log seconds, await seconds. Log seconds equal to 10, await seconds equal to 10. So the block method accepts two optional arguments. The first argument accepted by the block method is the maximum number of seconds the session lock should be held for before it is released. The second argument accepted by the block method is the number of seconds a request should wait while attempting to obtain a session lock. So an eliminate contracts cache lock timeout exception will be thrown if the request is unable to obtain a session lock within the given number of seconds. Lock timeout exception will be thrown. If neither of these arguments is passed, the lock will be obtained for a maximum of 10 seconds, and requests will wait a maximum of 10 seconds while attempting to obtain a lock. Like this we will be using block method without arguments or without any parameters. Now we see adding custom session drivers. So we will be using a class that implements session handler interface. So once we create this class which implements session handler interface, we will be registering within the boot method of app service provider. And we are also having different methods: open, close, read, write, destroy, uh, GC. So these are all the available methods for implementing the driver. And after this, we will be using uh, this whatever the registered session handler is there, custom session handler is there, so that we will be using in the session. And after registering that one, we will be using that whatever the registered um, session class. So within the boot method, with using with the help of extend method. So within that extend method, we will be mentioning the custom session driver name. That is, for example, Mongo. So that Mongo driver, for example, Mongo, that Mongo is used as a session driver environment variable or within the application config slash session.php configuration file. So like this, we'll be using the session driver environment variable in order to use that Mongo, whatever the custom driver we have created and registered within the boot method. So this is all about HTTP session concept in Laravel. So thank you so much. Thanks to all of my fans, supporters, and followers, and a special thanks to all of my YouTube subscribers. Thank you so much. This is Universal Horse Star Ravindar Reddy Yampalla. Thank you so much.